Morning, my friends. MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here with the MLive Morning Weather Update. And yeah, I thought, we had a warm January. I didn't feel like it was warm enough to don the tropical shirt, but I dug one out of the closet for this week and for the weather story that I have for you here today, because we have some 40s, we have some 50s, and it's pretty mild weather for this time of the year on the way. Let's get to her. And I always start with the big picture. I like to sometimes to let you know where this is going in the long term. This is one of the things that I feel like I can provide you versus, say, the TV weathercasters that are what's going on right now today. And let's start with the big picture of looking at the parade of storms across the Pacific. And that's the theme for the next few weeks to a month at least, in that we will have a sizable moisture-laden storm about every 5 to 7 days in our offing. You'll see one of those coming up. But what you're looking at is the western two-thirds of the U.S. Michigan's on the far right there, west coast. And then you're looking at, one storm just to our west, another one off the west coast, another one out in the middle of the Pacific, and another one. And so the point is, solid storms lined up, aimed at the western U.S., and yes, heading this way. Hey, Michael Predmore agrees with me that it's tropical shirt time. Good morning, Sandra Darby, and good morning, Dawn Frederick from Big Rapids. And Kurt Davey is excited. Tropical shirt day. Yes. And mud season. That is true. All right. So, a couple of storm systems this week. One tonight, Tuesday, we're going to be warming up for rain. The larger one, Thursday, almost all of us will be warm enough for rain, except for the far northern parts of lower Michigan. And we'll continue to show you the theme of warmer than normal conditions. So let's get into it. The radar right now, not showing anything going on. Okay, so we'll start with, let me get it to a nice perspective where it's blown up and you can see all the squiggly lines. That's why us meteorologists after a while end up wearing really thick glasses, because we're always squinting at screens with squiggly lines. So this is going to be the European model. It's going to go out 10 days. And I start with the initialization just so you can pick out what you're seeing. I see Iowa and Missouri and Illinois clearly. Michigan's kind of obscure, but you know where that is. I kind of can pick out the southeast. So remember, the blue lines, temperatures aloft that would make snow. The red lines, warmer temperatures. Let's go through it and progress along. So here's today. Now here's tonight and tomorrow morning. We'll look at it a little bit closer. Good morning, Kimberly Zeismer. And so will be mild, and this would be rain showers. A weak little frontal system coming through. Doesn't do much to our temperatures, and then here comes the mild air. This is Wednesday. And here comes the next storm system that was out on the west coast, and by Thursday morning, it's approaching from the south. This is the kind of track we watch for snowstorms if the storm center were to track into Ohio, but it's not. It's tracking into Illinois and into western Lake Michigan. That puts all of lower Michigan in the warm sector of this storm. So this is Thursday morning into afternoon. It's a rain. The blue is a ½ inch of liquid in a 6-hour period. That's a fairly heavy rain for the winter colder months. And then as we get into Thursday night and Friday, we turn a little bit colder. It can change over to leftover snow. And what's interesting is both models that I look at, this European and the US, all indicate the secondary little wave in the cold air behind it, sneaking up into the southeast lower with maybe a couple of inches of snow on the weekend. Pretty far out to tell that. And then look, the warmth just takes right over. We're into February 14th now. Now we're into Wednesday, February 15th. Does that look familiar? Another warm storm system from the south bringing rain. We end at 10 days out, and look, another storm system hanging out to the west that could bring us some rain. So it's generally a mild forecast. Now, here's a look at the European. Instead of more technical, you just see the rain versus snow. So this is the rain showers tonight, and they move through. It'll be warm enough for all rain. Maybe in the far northern part of the state, a little bit of freezing drizzle or patchy freezing rain. This is Wednesday. Wednesday, the pick day of the week. If you're in the offing for spring, any thoughts on tapping maple trees? I was starting to think about that too, because my granddaughter and I did it for the first time last winter, in late winter, and we had a real good time. Made some maple syrup, so we need to start thinking about that too. Now, this is Thursday, so there you can see this one is just rain, except for the UP, and then as it moves off, maybe some snow in the north, and then here's that secondary wave coming across Friday night, Saturday. Snowfall? Not much. This is through Wednesday. This is with the Thursday, Friday storm. The snowfall would be across the UP, maybe far northern lower, nothing across southern lower. And then that secondary wave on the weekend, maybe an inch or two in the southeast third of the state. Let's go out 10 days. And that's not much snow in 10 days in February. An inch or two in the south. If you're lucky, look at Grand Rapids. You might have less than an inch over the next 10 days. Hey, good morning, Tim Lee. And good morning, Millington. Connie Castle. Connie Castle, I'm sorry. Judy Lukowski, Bad Axe. Tom Ramsey, Tim's thoughts on trimming the grapevines. Yeah, I think you can go ahead and do it, because I don't think there's any extremely severe cold coming. I will be talking about that. We're looking at the likelihood, just to give you a little insight, we're looking at the likelihood of what's called a sudden stratospheric warming. That's where the stratosphere, which is the very top layer of essentially our weather atmosphere, warms quickly. It kind of pushes on the lower part of the atmosphere, and it gets a cold blob moving over to Siberia typically, and then 2 weeks later coming over to the eastern part of the US. So in other words, the sudden stratospheric warming is projected to happen in the next week, maybe underway now, and you go 2 weeks out after that, and that's when we could, not always, but could turn colder than normal, which puts us right at about, the last part of February or the first week or so of March. Not unheard of, obviously, to turn colder than normal then. So look at these temperatures. This is why I put on the tropical shirt today. Not so much for today. Highs in the mid 30s, but look at tomorrow. Highs 48 in Flint, 50 in Detroit, and close to 50 in Ann Arbor, 44 in Grand Rapids, 41 in Traverse City, 43 in Alpena. Wednesday, temperatures solidly in the mid to upper 40s, almost all across lower Michigan, except for the far northern parts of the state. But Saginaw Bay City, Flint, Oakland County, Grand Rapids, all of us, 45 to 50. Look at Thursday as the warmth comes with the rain. Kyle Aldridge is ready for thunderstorms. Okay. Look at Thursday. Maybe in the upper 50s. Flint and Detroit and Ann Arbor. Well, it's a little colder in the far north. And then Friday, still you got to call that mild in the low 40s. Saturday, back to about 30 degrees. Sunday, back to low 40s. Monday, next Monday, February 15th, February 13th, I'm sorry, upper 40s. Valentine's Day, maybe 50 degrees. And the 15th of February, maybe 50s to near 60s. So you see where I'm going with this is it's not warm. It's not run around in shorts. But if you get through 10 days and you have a couple of those days in the 50s and maybe 5 to 7 of those days in the 40s, and typically the coldest time of the year, you're escaping some major winter. All right, let's see what else I have for you here. Okay, now, what's the duration? What's the longevity of this warm spell? It's not just a day or two. I just showed you that. We're going to look at the Europeans' surface temperature anomaly forecast. So, how many degrees Fahrenheit above or below it is compared to the normal for that given day. This is going to go out 15, 16 days. Look at what it ends at. 16 days out, it ends at 30 degrees warmer than normal for the morning. Our mornings at that point, I looked it up, about 16, 17 degrees, the average low temperature. Add 30 onto that, you're talking morning low temperatures in the 40s to near 50 degrees. So just look at the red and all the other stuff here. Let's see, maybe I just accidentally shut her down. All right, bear with me a second here. I got to get back to this. Let me find it for you. Now that I build it, let's see. Hang with me a second. We got so much data. Okay, here we go. So obviously we know that it's going to be warm over the next couple of days. And then this is Thursday, I showed you. Could be 50s to near 60 degrees in the warm sector. And then this is the weekend, just slightly cooler. And then this is going into next week, Monday and Tuesday, 15, 20 degrees warmer than normal. This is going to February 15th, right there in the morning on February 15th. Granted, 15 days out, but hard to deny that that is quite a warm pattern. So I think there you have it. Tropical shirt definitely warranted. Don't you agree? We'll have some wet weather on Thursday. You can have some frost in the ground, so make sure the downspouts are hooked up, didn't get disconnected from anything. You knocked them on the winter, so you don't have all that water coming down between frozen ground, if it's there, and your basement. Make sure that's being routed out. And that's about it. We'll keep watching for mild weather. Thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. I'm MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. Take care.